He is the big man on campus and the golden boy of the basketball court. His superb skills have caught the eye of elite basketball scouts. The coach tells him that as long as he plays the upcoming game well, he will be scouted and fast-tracked to a top-tier university, promising a bright future ahead. However, on the day of the big game, his girlfriend tells him with a heavy heart that she is pregnant. This bombshell leaves Mike completely at a loss for a moment, but watching Scarlett's lonely figure walk away, Mike drops the basketball and chases after her without a second thought. He finally realizes that what matters most right now isn't some glorious future, but being with the girl in front of him forever. In the end, Mike gives up on the prestigious university to keep the fruit of their love, soon walking down the aisle with Scarlett. Yet, life is unpredictable, as this beautiful tale of sacrificing everything for love while building their marriage also becomes the fuse for their eventual divorce. Because with only a high school diploma, Mike can only work as an ordinary salesman after graduation, finding himself a failure at work while his marriage hits a dead end. His wife, Scarlett, wants a divorce, and even his kids don't want anything to do with him. Mike has worked diligently for 16 years, finally waiting for a chance at a promotion and a raise. But just as he is excitedly waiting for the announcement, the manager gives the promotion to a newcomer who just arrived, simply because the other guy graduated from a prestigious university. Facing this injustice, Mike approaches the manager with a sycophantic look to question him, but the manager is too busy on the phone to even give Mike the time of day. Seeing this, Mike's long-suppressed anger and resentment finally explode completely. A moment of impulse might bring brief satisfaction, but it also causes Mike to lose the job he relies on to make a living. Feeling the boundless energy of the young people around him, Mike can't help but reminisce about his glory days in high school. Back then, he too was the golden boy everyone idolized. With a heart full of bitterness, Mike subconsciously wanders back onto the high school campus. The court looks exactly the same as it did back then, and even the photo of him and his teammates is still hanging on the wall, filling Mike's heart with deep emotion. But right then, an abrupt noise suddenly snaps him out of it.
I'll bet you wish you had it to do all over again.
You got that right.
Mike doesn't take the janitor's words to heart. However, what he doesn't know is that his firm answer will completely change his life forever. Just then, his daughter walks over, while the janitor mysteriously vanishes into thin air. At first, he doesn't pay much attention to it, but that night, as he is driving home through a torrential downpour, the radio suddenly crackles with static, followed by the voice of the janitor.
You sure about it?
Mike is instantly bewildered, but the raging storm outside doesn't give him time to think. While he's focusing intently on the road, he suddenly sees the janitor standing on the edge of a bridge, seemingly about to end it all. Without a moment to lose, the kind-hearted Mike pulls over immediately, intending to save him. But instead of listening, the janitor gives Mike a meaningful smile. As a heavy truck zooms past, the janitor's figure disappears without a trace. Mike is terrified, so he rushes to the edge of the bridge to search for the janitor, but finds nothing. Right then, a whirlpool suddenly forms in the calm surface of the lake. As a bolt of lightning tears through the dark night, a faint face slowly emerges from the center of the vortex. Mike is puzzled because the face in the water feels strangely familiar to him. But before he can figure it out, a powerful force suddenly drags him into the water. The next day, a mud-covered Mike goes to his best friend Ned's house to clean up. When the grime on his face is finally washed away, a youthful face suddenly stares back at him. Mike looks on in disbelief as he is transformed back into his 17-year-old self. Just as he is reveling in his new look, Ned grabs a weapon, intending to take down the intruder in front of him. Mike desperately dodges the attacks while frantically trying to explain who he is. However, Ned doesn't believe a single word. Mike grabs a shield, executes a feint, and successfully tosses Ned down to the lower floor. Immediately after, he leaps down, wanting to continue explaining his identity. Yet he realizes that not only has his teenage face returned, but his aging body has also regained its former vitality. While he's marveling at his strength, Ned suddenly flips the carpet and grabs a nearby sword for protection. And so, after a thrilling confrontation, Mike finally manages to pin Ned to the ground. Ned waves his hands frantically, signaling his surrender. But just as Mike lets his guard down, Ned suddenly kicks the young thief right off his feet. However, as he raises a photo frame to end the fight for good, his gaze sweeps over Mike's face, then back to the photo, realizing the boy in front of him is the spitting image of his best friend in the picture. Ned stares at Mike, completely shell-shocked. But he refuses to give up and continues to grill him with secrets only the two of them know. Yet the boy answers everything without missing a beat. Faced with the truth, Ned is forced to accept the fact that his best friend has actually pulled off a reverse aging miracle. Mike and Ned talk through everything and conclude that the mysterious janitor must be the one behind this whole mess. Desperate for answers, Mike rushes back to the high school immediately. However, his disheveled look only earns him weird stares, and a female janitor thinks he's a total lunatic, since there is no old man working there by that description. Just as Mike is losing hope, the lights above start flickering violently, and a trail of water mysteriously appears on the floor. Following the trail of mysterious water stains on the floor, Mike finally catches sight of the janitor's bucket, waiting at the far end of the stairs. Thinking the old man is hiding nearby, he creeps forward and asks the questions burning in his soul. He waits for ages, but no one answers. Suddenly, the noise from a nearby door grabs Mike's attention. It's a group of players training their hearts out. Mike realizes the janitor didn't just turn him young for kicks, he gave him a chance to rewrite his miserable life. So Mike comes up with a bold plan. Have Ned pose as his father and help him re-enroll in school to flip the script on his destiny. They forge a story about Mike being Ned's illegitimate son and use old basketball photos as proof to back it up. The principal buys it hook, line, and sinker, and Mike officially becomes a high school student again. To kick off his new life in style, Mike pulls up in a flashy sports car wearing a high-end outfit, strutting into the building while everyone watches in awe. But he's barely in class before he gets a call from Scarlett. It's the day they're supposed to sign the divorce papers, and since Mike is a no-show, Scarlett assumes he's giving up custody of the kids. Since Mike can't exactly reveal his new face, he makes up a vague excuse about being busy to push the signing back. In a wild twist of fate, he ends up being classmates with his own daughter, Maggie. Mike gets ahead of himself and greets her enthusiastically, but Maggie just gives him the cold shoulder. As the days go by, Mike does what he does best and joins the basketball team. Even though his skills have been gathering dust for over a decade, he's still leagues ahead of everyone else, catching Coach Murphy's eye immediately. Mike is shocked to see Coach Murphy still at the school, and just like before, the coach spots his talent in an instant. Luckily, the coach has long forgotten what Mike looked like as a teen, so he doesn't suspect a thing. During a break, Mike ducks into the bathroom to tell Ned that everything is going according to plan. He's already got the coach's invite and will be on the team in no time. But the moment he hangs up, he hears a desperate cry for help from one of the stalls. When Mike checks it out, he finds his son Alex taped to the toilet. Mike always thought his son inherited his cool genes and was a star on campus, but it turns out he's just a punching bag for bullies. This constant harassment has made Alex incredibly timid. He even has a crush on a girl, but doesn't have the guts to speak to her. Mike sees right through him and decides to teach Alex a few tricks to win her over.
You know, Alex, when I first met your mother, I was so nervous.
You met my mother?
What?
My mother?
Yeah.
You just said the first time I met your mother, I was...
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Is your mom hot? Dude.
Mike starts to mention how he won over Scarlett back in the day, but then realizes he can't blow his cover. Before he can explain, a rowdy group of students catches Alex's eye. It's the goons who have been tormenting him. To Mike's absolute horror, the leader of the pack, Stan, is actually his daughter's boyfriend. Seeing his top student daughter secretly dating a low-life bully makes Mike see red. Stan notices Mike staring and tries to act tough, stepping up to intimidate him. When Stan starts picking on Alex again, it's the final straw for Mike. Thinking he can humiliate the new kid, Stan tries to peg Mike with a basketball, but Mike catches it with one hand like it's nothing. Stan has no idea he's messing with a former legendary star athlete. Mike doesn't just school Stan, he rips him apart verbally in front of everyone, giving him a taste of his own medicine. However, after the showdown, Mike realizes he's been a total failure as a father. He was so wrapped up in his own misery that he never knew what his kids were going through at school. To make up for his neglect and ensure his kids have a better future, Mike decides to use his new identity to fix their lives. He shows up at his own home under the guise of being Alex's friend, training Alex in basketball. Sees Mike. She's completely stunned. Sees Mike. She's completely stunned because the resemblance is uncanny. If Alex hadn't introduced him as a friend, Scarlett would have been convinced her husband had somehow shrunk. Naomi, however, thinks Scarlett is just hung up on her ex. and pushes her to move on and find someone new. Hearing this makes Mike's blood boil, and in a fit of jealousy, he accidentally hurls the basketball at Naomi. During the argument, Scarlett can't stop touching Mike's face, trying to figure out why this boy feels so familiar. After nearly 20 years together, she knows that face, and even with the youthful glow, the connection is still there. The next morning at school, Mike catches his daughter Maggie in a heavy makeout session with Stan, prompting him to break it up immediately. Since it's health class, the teacher starts a lesson on how to use protection correctly. Stan gets all hyped up and grabs a handful of condoms like he's at a buffet. This behavior terrifies Mike, who knows exactly where this leads, and he's determined to protect his daughter from making the same mistakes he did. To prevent his daughter from going down the wrong path, Mike stands up and gives an impassioned speech, stating that intimacy should be reserved for marriage and the miracle of new life. Watching Mike's heartfelt and paternal speech, the female students are all deeply moved, subsequently returning all the condoms and completely abandoning any thoughts of messing around. Seeing this, Stan straight up claims all the condoms for himself, even openly boasting that he is going to use every single one of them on Maggie. At this point, Mike can absolutely no longer hold back, lunging forward on the spot and violently brawling with Stan. Even though the teenage Stan has the physical edge and gives Mike a beating, Mike's courage in standing up to the school bully turns him into an overnight legend. But Mike isn't celebrating, because he's still sick with worry about his kids losing their way. After school, Mike shows up to Coach Alex again, only to run into Scarlett. Scarlett seems to have a genuinely good impression of this young man, so she enthusiastically invites him to check out her unfinished backyard garden. Mike jumps at the chance, and even offers to do the heavy lifting with the fertilizer. Scarlett talks about her ambitious plans with absolute hope in her eyes, explicitly stating that she totally wants to transform this entire space into a stunningly beautiful garden. After hearing this, Mike doesn't hold back at all, and totally agrees with Scarlett's beautiful vision.
It's gonna be amazing, Scar.
You called me Scar? My husband's the only one who ever calls me that.
Mike suddenly realizes that he accidentally let something slip, so he smoothly changes the subject by casually asking if Scarlett needs anyone to be her handy assistant. He tells her he's young and strong and wants to help, but his over-eagerness makes Scarlett a bit suspicious. Mike fumbles for an explanation, claiming he's just really into gardening and wants to learn. Scarlett, happy to find a kindred spirit who shares her hobby, agrees to let him help. In the days that followed, Mike continues to use the excuse of coaching Alex in basketball to hang around the house. Besides that, he frequently helps Scarlett maintain the backyard, occasionally letting his playful side slip out. Every time he sees his daughter out on a date with Stan, he uses a few petty tricks to sabotage their attempts at getting intimate. Thanks to his relentless training, Alex finally makes the cut for the school team. When Scarlett hears the good news, she's so thrilled that she pulls her son into a tight hug. Caught up in the moment, Mike forgets who he's supposed to be and rushes over to pull them both into his arms. Scarlett and Alex just assume Mike is overexcited and don't suspect a thing. To celebrate, Scarlett tells them she has a surprise and leads them to the backyard. Under Scarlett's careful transformation, the once weed-choked and branch-strewn yard has become a lush and vibrant mini-garden. It's in this moment that Mike realizes he spent years complaining about how he gave up his dreams for his family, making his life miserable. But he never stopped to think that Scarlett had also stifled her own design talent just to accommodate him. Now that she has reached middle age, her absolute only remaining hobby is practicing her dancing all by herself at home. Upon learning that Scarlett is preparing to attend a local dance, Mike totally smoothly pulls out a vintage record, playing the exact same song from their wedding back in the day, stubbornly insisting on accompanying Scarlett to practice together. Ever since Mike began interacting with Scarlett in this new body, he realizes his love for her has never wavered. In the same way, even though Scarlett was firm about kicking Mike out and ending the marriage, Mike can tell she still loves him deeply. He tentatively asks if there is any chance for a reconciliation, but unfortunately, he receives a firm no as an answer. Not long after, Scarlett is picked up by her dance partner. Mike is full of resentment but is powerless to stop her. Just then, Maggie also rushes out, as she has a party to attend tonight. Knowing exactly what kind of trouble happens at night parties, Mike grabs Alex and the two of them tail her. With Mike's encouragement, Alex finally finds the courage to approach his crush, Nicole. But being socially awkward, he keeps blurting out the most cringe-worthy things imaginable. In his nervous state, Alex fails to notice the candle at his feet and ends up fleeing the scene in total embarrassment while the crowd laughs. Meanwhile, after a long search, Mike finally tracks down Maggie sitting alone. During their chat, Mike learns that Maggie plans to give up on prestigious universities just to stay local with the dead-end Stan. This sends Mike into a state of pure agitation, as he refuses to let his daughter throw away her future for love, especially for a guy who isn't worth it. However, Mike's excessive concern backfires and triggers Maggie's resentment. She refuses to accept a stranger lecturing her in the tone of a father. After a heated argument, they part ways on bad terms. But just a few days later, Mike finds Maggie hiding away and crying her eyes out. Sensing something is wrong, Mike rushes over to comfort her, and after asking her about it, he finally learns that because Maggie consistently refused to get intimate with Stan ruthlessly and totally dumped her. Looking at his heartbroken daughter, Mike can only stay by her side and offer words of comfort. However, Mike never expected that his long-term excessive concern for Maggie would lead her to get the wrong idea. She even tries to give Mike a chance to make a move. Horrified and completely out of his element, Mike has no choice but to flee in total embarrassment. Soon, another party rolls around. At Mike's warm invitation, Scarlett finds it hard to refuse and eventually shows up at the event. In the distance, Alex is finally locking lips with the girl of his dreams. Even though he is awkward and says the wrong things, his genuine nature is exactly what won Nicole over. Watching this, Mike and Scarlett share a look of pure pride and joy. Perhaps to kill any romantic ideas his daughter might have, or perhaps to show Scarlett that his heart has always been hers, Mike boldly takes Scarlett's hand. Then, in front of the entire crowd, he leans in and kisses her. While this move seems completely insane to Scarlett, Mike is tired of loving her from behind a mask, because having lost her once before makes him feel absolutely terrified. He is desperate to reveal the truth, but Scarlett not only completely refuses to believe such absolute nonsense, she also entirely views him as a completely frivolous jerk. After the chaos of that night, Scarlett speeds up the legal process to finalize the divorce. Mike is panicking, but in his current identity, he has no way to stop the disaster because no one believes he is the real Mike. Finally, at Ned's suggestion, he delivers a letter to the court, claiming it was written by Mike himself. With the judge and Scarlett's permission, Mike reads the contents of the letter out loud. He speaks of their high school days, the ups and downs they faced together, and his deep regret for not cherishing their marriage. But since things have reached a point of no return, he says he will respect Scarlett's decision, even if it hurts.
But I guess if I love you, I should let you move on.
Scarlett's heart skips a beat. She begins to wonder if the boy standing there might actually be her husband, because that soulful look in his eyes, that unique expression, and that voice are the exact same ones she fell in love with all those years ago. Scarlett is visibly shaken. After Mike and Ned are escorted out of the courtroom, Scarlett impulsively asks the judge for a stay on the divorce. She then rushes to grab the letter, only to find that it was nothing more than an ordinary utility bill. In that moment, she finally starts to believe that this boy truly is her husband. The day for scouts to recruit top players arrives once again. Coach Murphy, just like years ago, reminds Mike that as long as he plays his heart out for just half a game, he will secure a spot at a prestigious university. Before the game starts, Mike spots Scarlett sitting in the audience. He instinctively performs his old signature move, which leaves Scarlett completely stunned. At this moment, she is more certain than ever that the boy on the court is indeed her husband. She finds it impossible to calm her emotions and only wants to leave the arena to clear her head. Watching her walk away, Mike feels as if he is reliving the exact moment Scarlett left him all those years ago. Chose his dream. He would have spent the rest of his life in regret for losing Scarlett. So, he decisively hands the basketball to his son and sprints out of the arena to chase after Scarlett. At that exact moment, the janitor appears once again, as this is clearly the ending he wanted to see all along. Simultaneously, a mysterious vortex swirls around Mike once more. Within this corridor of time, he transforms back into his original self.
Hi? You didn't have to come after me again.
Yes, I did, because I love you. 20 years. But if you let me, I swear.
I missed you.
Mike used to believe the janitor gave him the chance to be 17 again, just so he could change his destiny. But after living with his family under a different identity, he realizes he was dead wrong, as what he needed wasn't a life reboot, but a way to save his broken marriage and become a better husband and father. People always say that if they could go back to the past, they would rewrite every regret. But through this magical reunion, Mike learns that there are no wasted detours in life. Those youthful impulses and choices, those middle-aged failures and resentments, and the things sacrificed for love have all become inseparable parts of his life. He once thought giving up basketball was his greatest regret, but he eventually understood that neglecting his family and the sacrifices of his wife was the real debt he could never repay. The janitor never intended to give Mike a second chance at a different life, but simply allowed him to see his own life from an outsider's perspective. True growth isn't about having the courage to start over, but about letting go of obsessions and cherishing the present after seeing the truth behind the regrets. True love isn't just a reckless sprint in the heat of the moment, but a willingness to stop for each other and walk side by side after enduring the trials of time. It is only later that we realize the warmth we overlooked, the companionship we failed to cherish, and the steadfastness hidden in ordinary days are the most precious lights in our lives.
If you want more movie explainers like this, comment the next movie name. And subscribe to K.Movie.E at K.Movie.E for more. Please visit to our Instagram and Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching till the end.